Okay.
So it's doing it.
So let's share it.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and mute it. But if anything,
Okay.
just text me if something goes down. But
Okay.
hopefully it won't. Inshallah. All right, Sidi. Inshallah, I'm gonna listen to it after my meeting, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah. All right.
Salam alaikum.
You can. No, no. See?
Silencio. Es que ahí me separé una gorda con todo lo que tiene que Silencio.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره ومقداره العظيم اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما تعلمنا وزدنا من فضلك علما وتعليما إنك على كل شيء قدير ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So last week, alhamdulillah, in the etiquette of the Quran, we finished the section on the etiquette of the teachers of the Quran. And now we're going to go into something that concerns most of us, which is the etiquette of the students of the Quran. What is the etiquette of learning the Quran? And this applies to learning to recite the Quran, to memorizing the Quran, and to learning the Quran's meanings or Tafsir. So Imam al-Nawawi says, the student's etiquette, all of the teachers' etiquette that we have mentioned is in essence the student's etiquette as well. So all of the things that we talked about before, those apply to the student as well. But the student's etiquette also includes avoiding any concerns that preoccupy him from achieving his objectives, except that which is unavoidable because of need. What this means is that you try to, when you have a scheduled class with your teacher, you're trying to eliminate anything that you have to do before and anything that you have to do afterwards. So you basically clear your day as it pertains to before your lesson, and then you don't schedule anything after your lesson for some time, except for what you have to absolutely do, such as going to work, or if you have to pick up some food for your wife or for your children, or anything that is absolutely necessary. This is excluded. However, things that are not necessary, you should clear them from your day before your lesson, so that you go to your lesson completely concentrated on your lesson, and then clear them from your day or not clear your day, but at least leave some time after your lesson so that you don't schedule anything right after your lesson and become preoccupied with that thing that you need to do. He should purify his heart from any corruption so that it is fit for receiving the Quran, memorizing it, and profiting from it. So again, we see that as a learner and as a teacher, the purification of the heart is important. And the purification of the heart is written about in many places. So it applies to seeking Allah through dhikr. It applies to trying to purify your heart of improper or undesirable traits, and these things, and filling it up with desirable traits. And one of the shuyukh of the tariqah had written a book on the purification of the heart, Mataratul Qulub, which Hamza Yusuf translated. And another of the shuyukh of the tariqah from the town of Tafsir, which is a town of scholars, most of whom are Tijani, Muhammad al-Hasan al-Khadim. He actually wrote a commentary on the purification of the heart. So if you can read Arabic, it would be very beneficial to read that book and consult with your sheikh for anything that you don't understand. The student should show humility towards the knowledge so that he attains it by means of his humility. Some have said in verse, knowledge destroys the arrogant youth, like the torrent erodes high ground. So what does this mean? That you should show humility towards the knowledge. And so many times the teachers that we have are not fit. They have the requisite knowledge, but they display certain attitudes or certain etiquettes that are not congruent and not compatible with the knowledge that they're giving. And so, many times students lose respect for their teacher and decide that they can't benefit from the teacher at all. And this is not the attitude to take. So the respect that you have for your teacher is because of his knowledge, not because of his person. And so if he has beneficial knowledge to give you, if he has the Quran to give you especially, then he deserves your respect, because your respect is for the words of Allah, the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the words and the knowledge of Islam is not for the person of the sheikh. And so here he's saying he's drawing attention towards the knowledge so that one does not become hung up on the personality of the sheikh. And you should show humility, because arrogance destroys the youth like the torrent erodes high ground. And so that the torrential rains, they erode the mountains. We see this in many places, where the mountains, they are carved out by water running down them. So in the same way, knowledge destroys the youth. So the similitude here is that water is beneficial and knowledge is beneficial. However, water is only beneficial to the soil that soaks it up, that's ready to soak it up. And similarly, the student is only benefited if he is ready to soak up the knowledge. And if he's not ready to soak up the knowledge, then it will destroy him. And that is why, Sayyidina Shaykh radiallahu anhu, and one of his advices, he advised his students against seeking every type of knowledge and against seeking knowledge that would lead to official positions such as judgeships or the court faqih and things like this, because if the person is not purified, then that will cause him harm. And so, knowledge, the knowledge that we all need is the fard ayn. And then if we are going to seek knowledge beyond that, then it is necessary that we be humble in our seeking of knowledge so that it does not destroy us. The student shows humility towards his teacher's knowledge and his person, even if he is younger, less famous, of a lower pedigree, less righteous, or lacking in other qualities. Again, this is what we're saying about the teacher. It's not about the person of the teacher. You show respect towards the person of the teacher because of the knowledge that Allah is giving you through him, and you show respect to his knowledge, but it's not about the person of the teacher. So he may be less righteous than you. He may do way less work than you. You may never see him pray a sunnah prayer. You may be up at night and he's sleeping, but the fact that Allah is teaching you through him is sufficient for you to respect him, his person, and his knowledge. And that is why Sayyidina Ali Karramallahu Wajhahu said, I am the servant of anyone who has taught me even a single letter. And the student should obey his teacher, consult him in his affairs, and accept his opinion. An ill person who is rational accepts the opinion of an experienced and sincere physician. With religious knowledge, this is even more appropriate. And so, if you're going to have a sheikh, then you need to make him, make yourself obedient to him and consult your affairs with him. And, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taught him something that you don't know. And if it weren't for the fact that he had knowledge that you wanted, so if he didn't have knowledge that you wanted, then why are you seeking him as a sheikh anyway? So if he has knowledge that you want, then you must obey him. So that's the first etiquette, which is quite long. It's that you purify your heart, that you dedicate yourself completely to your lesson. You avoid distractions, and that you respect and show humility towards the teacher and his knowledge. And the second of the etiquettes, studying with the elite. Studying with the elite. So he says the student does not take knowledge except from someone whose competence is complete. His religiosity is visible, has realized profound knowledge of Allah, and is well known as a person who is free of debilitating problems. And so the first of this is that he does not take except from someone whose competence is complete. And how is that known? It's known by the person's teachers giving him permission to teach what he is teaching. If the person's teachers have given him permission to teach what he is teaching, then you can be confident that in his competence. His religiosity is visible. So this is something that people should be aware of. If for example, he trims his beard, then it should be in a way that it is in conformity with the different opinions on the beard. If he he should try his best to cover and maintain the sunnah. So basically that his Islam is visible, and the Islam of the person, the Islam of the person by looking at them. So this is, unfortunately, this is an etiquette that has been neglected by many students of knowledge. People, and many teachers also, who in trying to make the message relevant, they don't display any Islam. They don't display, whether that's a kufi or a tarbush or a turban or a imama. They don't display anything of Islam. A beard for ladies, proper hijab. This is absolutely necessary in a teacher. While we try to let people progress in their Islam at the pace that they are able to go, when it comes to your teachers, you have to be more stringent. And so they need to have something that is consistent with the image that we have of Muslim scholars. And then he goes on, he says, he has realized profound knowledge of Allah. And so this is, again, Imam al-Nawawi was an accomplished Sufi who had shuyukh of tasawwuf. And so he's pointing the student towards the people of ma'rifah, that the teacher should have ma'rifah of Allah. He's pointing the student to what is best, and that is that your teacher, should have ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because that will enhance his teaching. Because in reality, ma'rifah is to put everything in its proper place, to give everything its proper due. And so if you are learning from someone who has ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then this person is able to put things in order, and he's able to give you what you need at the proper time, which is part of giving everything its due right and putting everything in its place. And so that's the importance of having a teacher who is full of ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and is well known as a person who is free of debilitating problems. What does this mean? So we're talking about religiosity here. So it's debilitating problems means that he is well known as a person whose mistakes or sins, are not on display, and who doesn't have habitual sins, especially major sins, so such that those would come into contrast with the knowledge that he has. So he goes on to say, he says, the righteous forebears, may Allah be pleased with them and grant them mercy, have said, this knowledge is religion. So examine well the one from whom you take your religion. The student should look to his teacher with the eye of respect, believing with unwavering conviction in his competence and superiority over his contemporaries. Again, Imam al-Nawawi is mixing the teacher with the sheikh. And so his idea of a teacher is not only a teacher who can teach you Quran or a teacher that can teach you Hadith, but in reality, a teacher who is Shaykh al-Islam, a teacher that can give you your Fard Ain knowledge, give you knowledge of the Quran, and a teacher who can lead you to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so here he's talking about the sheikh when he says this, that he has in his competence and superiority over his contemporaries. Basically, that the student believed that the sheikh, the sheikh is that the sheikh is the highest ranking sheikh of his time. The student visits his sheikh with most excellent manners, keeping himself tidy with everything we have just mentioned concerning the teacher, cleanliness, regular use of the toothstick, brushing your teeth, and a heart free of preoccupation. He does not enter without seeking permission unless the teacher is in a place that does not require it. And so if the classes take place at the teacher's house, then you should knock and wait to be invited in. If it takes place, for example, in a masjid, a musalla, or a public place, then this is not necessary. The student greets the attendees upon entering and then singles out his teacher with his greeting. So you give 2 salams. You say assalamu alaikum when you come in, and that is for your fellow students. And then you say assalamu alaikum to the teacher especially. And so these are etiquettes of the student of Quran, but we should also take these as etiquettes to inculcate whenever we go and see our sheikh. Likewise, he bids farewell to him and the assembly when he departs. So and when he leaves, he first gives salam to his teacher, assalamu alaikum, and then he gives salam to his fellow students. The student does not step over others and sits wherever the assembly's perimeter happens to be, unless the sheikh gives him permission to come forward, or he knows from his sheikh's behavior that he prefers it. He does not let someone rise from his place out of deference. So, if you want to be in front, then you need to get there early. If you're not there early, then you sit wherever you are. He does not sit between 2 companions except with their permission. And if they make room for him, he sits and squeezes himself in. So basically, if you know 2 people to be companions and they're in the lesson, you don't come between them. We relate that the commander of the faithful, Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu, said, the rights of the teacher has over you include that you greet others in general, but seek him out with greetings to the exclusion of the rest. They also include sitting in front of him, not pointing with your hand in his company, not winking or your eye at someone, not citing an opinion contrary to his, and not backbiting while in his presence. And one of the things that will get you, in trouble with your teacher is if he is teaching. And subhanAllah, this is a very bad habit of many students of knowledge across many of the schools in Islam these days. If your teacher is stating an opinion, then you don't assume that he doesn't know what other people have said. That's not, that is not from the adab of the student. You should assume, that if you know an opinion contrary to the opinion of the sheikh, then you should assume that he knows it too. And if you need clarification, then it should be in the form of a question and not, but sheikh so-and-so says this, which is a contrary opinion. And backbiting you shouldn't do in anyone's presence, but especially in the presence of the sheikh. And the etiquette of the student include not conferring with someone sitting near you while in his audience. So you should not be talking amongst yourselves while in front of the sheikh, not grabbing his garment, not being insistent when he is apprehensive about something, and not being harmonious such that you become fed up with his company after a length of time. So what this means is, or not conferring with someone, so you don't talk about amongst yourselves while you're in the presence of the sheikh, not grabbing his garment. So this is, some of the servants of the shuyukh, they grab onto the sheikh's garment and do tabarruk and stuff like that. But this is not, the etiquette of the student and the assembly of knowledge. Not being insistent when he is apprehensive. So if the sheikh, doesn't want to do something or doesn't want to talk about something, then you shouldn't insist on it. And, not being disharmonious, which means that you try to, as we say, you try to vibe with whatever is going on in the presence of the sheikh. And so with that, we're going to move on to the tafsir, inshallah. And for those who haven't been attending or it's their first time, this is the book that we're reading from, Connecting to the Quran. It's been translated. So Imam al-Nawawi has a book called Etiquette with the Quran, and it's long and it has a lot of Shafi'i rulings and different peripheral issues, which is good, but it's not necessarily good for for reading in a classroom setting. And he did a mukhtasar, which is called, which Sheikh Musa Ferber has translated into English as Connecting with the Quran. And they're both available on Amazon. They are both available to purchase on Amazon. And please do not download any illegal PDFs. Okay, so last week we reached the end.
Mira tu celular, ocupa. Tú pones control de la tele, no vuelvo control de la tele.
Busca el control.
No puedo, ya no está.
Okay, so last week, I'm sorry about that. That was my son. I don't know if you all can, if you have any questions about the etiquette part, you can type it, inshallah, and we'll get to it. So last week, we finished the Sheikh's Tafsir of Surah Al-Fatiha. And this week, we're going to start on Surah Al-Baqarah. So Surah Al-Baqarah is 286 ayat, and it is by far the longest of the, it's the longest of the surahs of Quran. It is a Medinan surah, and like I said, we're going to get to what Mecca and Medina, they have different aspects and different characteristics. But Surah Al-Baqarah is a Medinan surah, which means that it was revealed after the Hijrah. And the characteristics of those that are revealed after the Hijrah is that they address the people of the book and they have rulings. And so those are the main characteristics. And so Surah Al-Baqarah has many rulings. In fact, Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu said that he studied Surah Al-Baqarah for 10 years. So he studied the meanings of Surah Al-Baqarah for 10 years. Subhanallah. And, just imagine the patience that of people like that. We want to study the Quran in a year. So he studied the rulings of the Quran for 10 years. And Surah Al-Baqarah, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, read Surah Al-Baqarah, recite Surah Al-Baqarah, because sorcery cannot penetrate it. So the person that recites Surah Al-Baqarah regularly will have a shield against sorcery. And also one of the benefits of Surah Al-Baqarah is that it has, if you read it in a house for 3 days straight, then whatever evil presence might be in the house will abandon it. So it's a way to clean out, as they say, to clean the ambient of the house. Surah Al-Baqarah, it has a lengthy section that addresses the Yahud. It has a lengthy section that addresses the Jews, the people who call themselves the children of Israel. And it addresses them so it first addresses them from the point of view of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his blessings upon them. And it calls them to witness his blessings upon them. And then it goes on what is basically a cosmic indictment, regarding their behavior with Musa alayhi salam or with the messengers after him. Ali, bájalo. And so it also contains many of the rulings of fasting. And it contains some of the rulings of qital, of jihad. And it contains many of the rulings of the rites of Hajj. And so it also contains the prohibition of usury or riba, and it contains the rulings of contracts. So it is a very important surah, and understanding it, one can understand many of the rulings of the Sharia. And so it starts out with a breakdown. It starts with a breakdown of human beings into 3 categories. And when we talk about these categories, we'll get into this, inshallah, and into more depth in the surah, inshallah. But from verses 2 to 5, it describes the higher category of human beings, who are the muttaqeen. So the believers are described as the muttaqeen, which is an encouragement from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us not to just be content with being Muslim and trying to hold on to a shaky faith, rather to be a muttaqi, which is a person who fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and doing good and increasing our faith through good actions. And then it describes another group of people, which are the disbelievers. And those are 2 verses. And then 13 verses are dedicated to the hypocrites. And one can glean from that the best of the best of people are the muttaqeen, and the disbelievers are their polar opposite, but that the most dangerous people for the believers are the hypocrites, and the most dangerous situation for us is to display the characteristics of the hypocrites. And so this is just a breakdown. So basically human beings are divided into, according to the Quran, into 3 camps: believer, disbeliever, and hypocrite. And when we talk about this, so it's impossible for us to know exactly who is a believer and who is a disbeliever, except what has been revealed from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon the tongue of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So for example, Abu Lahab and his wife, we know that they are disbelievers, absolutely, because Allah revealed it. We know that the 10 who were promised paradise are believers because Allah revealed it. But when it comes down to us, we don't even know how we will die. And the reality of belief and disbelief is based on how someone dies. And so we don't know how we will die, and we hope and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us die upon faith, but we don't know that we're going to die on faith. And we also don't know who will die as a disbeliever. So these are realities that we can't see, but they're also legal rulings for the administration of Muslim states. So, for example, in Muslim states, you're either Muslim or disbeliever. And disbelievers are people of the book who pay the jizya and other disbelievers. But you're either Muslim or disbeliever. But that tag of disbeliever is not a cosmic reality. It's a condition that the person is in. Just as them calling you believer just because you are a Muslim is not a cosmic reality, in and of itself. So the Muslims, who die upon faith, then they are the believers. And the disbelievers who die upon disbelief, they are the disbelievers. And then the worst of the disbelievers are the hypocrites. People who pretend to believe something that they're not because they don't have the courage and react to say what they mean. And so that is a danger. And we seek Allah's refuge from it. And so that's just an introduction to Surah Al-Baqarah, and its contents it's a whole lot more. But we're going to get into the Tafsir of Bai right now, inshallah. So he says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alif Lam Mim. So, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Alif Lam Mim. And he says, Allahu a'lamu bi muradihi. Allahu a'lamu bi muradihi. So, Alif Lam Mim are the letter, these are known as Huruf al-Muqatta'ah. Huruf al-Muqatta'ah. They are the single letters that are that are recited separately that come at the beginning of some surahs. And there are many different opinions of them. And inshallah, we will, in certain surahs, we will go into some detail about them. But here the Shaykh just wants us to know that the best of what to say about these letters, especially in public, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best what they mean. We believe in it because Allah revealed it in the book, but Allah knows best its meaning. And he says, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. That book, there's no doubt in it. هذا الكتاب, this book, الذي يقرأ محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم لا ريب فيه أنه منزل من عند الله تبارك وتعالى. So this book, which Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is reciting, there's no doubt in it. There's no doubt in this book that he's reciting. There's no doubt that it is revealed, that it is descending from the presence of Allah, blessed and exalted is He. Laysa fi hada right. There is no doubt about that. وإن شك أبو جهل وأشباهه فهم همقاء مجانين لا أقول عندهم. The doubt that Abu Jahl and the likes of Abu Jahl displayed towards the book, it doesn't count because they are ignorant and they are insane. They have no aql. They have no intellect. And so it's important to know what we mean by intellect here, because we can't say that they aren't ostensibly intelligent. You know, many of the atheists are intelligent. Many of them think logically. So what does aql mean in Revelation? So aql in Revelation means that the person has, it can mean two things. That the person has a legal or religious capacity, or it can mean that the person understands the truth and is willing to follow it. That the person understands the truth and is willing to follow it. And so this is why you will find that people who have, you know, high intellects, who have high IQs, they still don't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not the fact that they aren't intelligent, it's just that their intelligence doesn't include the will to follow the truth. You know, so when they recognize the truth, they cover it up. كأن شكهم ليس بشك لا شك فيه الشمس شمس وإن لم يراها الأعمى. So it is as if their doubt is not a doubt at all. And so there's no doubt in the book. The sun is the sun, even if the blind person cannot see it. وَالْعَسَلْ أَصْلٌ وَإِنْ لَمْ يَجِدْ طَعْمُهُ الْمَرِيضُ. And honey is honey, even if the sick person cannot taste it. فالقرآن لا شك فيه وإن شك فيه المجانين والهمقاء. So the Quran, there is no doubt in the Quran, even if the insane and foolish people display doubts on it. لأنه أتى ببراهين وحجج دامغة أنه ليس من عند غير الله تبارك وتعالى, because it has come with proofs and indisputable evidences that it is from that is not from other than Allah, blessed and exalted is He. And so ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين, a guidance for the God-fearing. هاد للسائرين للتقوى. It guides the wayfarers to taqwa. It guides those who wayfare with taqwa. It guides those who wayfare with taqwa. And taqwa, according to the shuyukh, is to obey the commands of Allah and to avoid what He has prohibited in open and in secret. So this book is a guide for those whose way is taqwa, whose way is to obey Allah in open and in secret. هذا الكتاب يهدي الله به كل من قدر في الأزل أنه سائر إلى التقوى. So this book, Allah guides by it. Allah guides by this book everyone who He had decreed in eternity that they would travel the path of taqwa, or travel the path to taqwa. So this is the book is the guide for the muttaqin, and now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to get into describing the muttaqin, so that we may try to imitate or emulate these qualities. So He says, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, those who believe in the unseen. هُمُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِمَا غَابَ عَنْهُمْ, they are those who believe in that which is hidden from them. That which is hidden for them. Al-ghaybu ghayban. So there are two types of hidden matters. There are two types of ghayb. Ghaybun ghaba anka wa huwa al-jannatu wal-nar wal-malaikatu wal-hur al-ayn wal-ba'thu wa ma wara' al-ba'th. Kullu hadha ghaba anka wa amanta bihi. So the ghayb, the unseen or the hidden matters are two types. That which is hidden from you, the hidden matters that are hidden from you, which are paradise, the five
Assalamualaikum. I have no sound. Is everyone else experiencing it also? No volume.
I think he may have dropped
Oh,
off.
we lost him. We can't hear him anymore.
Yes, let's see now. It's mine.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, City Talut just texted me and said his internet went out. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, I can.
Getting an echo. But yeah, City Talut just texted and said his internet went out. So I think he's working on trying to get back. So let me see. I'm just texting him to see what he wants to do. Okay, give me 1 second. I'll give everybody an update in a minute. Let me just get a text from him. Okay, subhanAllah. So unfortunately, City Talut's internet went out and he's not sure when it's going to be back on. So he asked me to go ahead and close it out for this week. We're really sorry for the technical difficulty, but I'll huddle up with City Talut and see if it's something that we can, try to address to make sure it doesn't happen again, or if it's just kind of, a quirk or a problem because of where he is in the world. And I think you all know he's down in Mexico. So I don't know if it has to do with that or what, but we'll work it out, inshallah. And may Allah reward all of you for coming. Inshallah, we'll be back next week and hopefully we'll work out any technical difficulties between now and then, inshallah ta'ala. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدر من العظيم اللهم أرنا حق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وارنا باطلا باطلا اجتنابه اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Assalamu alaikum, Jamaat. We're sorry again for the technical difficulty, but we'll see you next week, inshallah. Wa alaikum salam.